Hello, power players. Welcome to the T-shirt transfer paper power half hour, brought to you by that little sublimation engine that can, your folks at Condé Systems Incorporated. My name's Doug DeWitt, transfer paper product manager, host of the show. And with me today, he's my friend. He's your friend. Doesn't that make him our friend? Our director, Rodeo Bo. Bo, how you doing today?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We have got a great topic for you today. We are having an open discussion on the Crio 9541WDT white toner printer.
Is it the best white toner printer?
Is it the best white toner printer? How does it compare with other things that can print dark t-shirts like direct to garment or direct to film? Well, we're going to cover a lot of those points today, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you sit back, enjoy, and learn some things about this awesome white toner system and how it compares to other printing technologies on the market. But before we can get started with that, what do we got to do, Rodeo?
Pay the power bill.
We got to pay the power bill.
Can I say one thing before we pay the power bill, Doug?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, anyone in here who is watching us on the Doug's T-shirt transfer paper forum,
yeah,
you just got to, I think I'm going to post a link in here, and all you got to do is, I'm going to post a link in a second here, Doug. You can pay the power bill, but you just got to click on this so that you can verify.
Yeah, obviously.
Put your comment into StreamYard.
Yeah, obviously, you know, some method that you can leave a comment if you happen to be watching on the T-shirt transfer forum. If you are watching on YouTube or our Condé Systems Facebook page, make sure you comment with your questions during the show. Bo is going to be rattling them off to me, and we hope to get a lot of questions answered. If we don't have time for them, we always get back and answer questions later on. So make sure you comment with your questions, should you have any. As far as power bill is concerned, first thing we need to talk about, there is the upcoming Sublimation Summit that is taking place in Georgia at the end of April. I just want to let everyone know that next week, next Wednesday, president of the company, David Gross, and the founder of the Sublimation Summit, Ms. Cheryl Kuchik, they will be having a webinar next Wednesday to discuss everything going on with the Sublimation Summit. So if you're interested, make sure you tune in next Wednesday. That will be on Condé TV as well as our Facebook Live. I myself will be teaching 2 classes at the Sublimation Summit. So if you're interested in attending my classes, make sure you register because seats are limited. Another thing is we've got a brand new blog up, 10 ways to grow your sublimation business in 2023. Make sure you go to our website, Condé.com. Click on that information because that information is free.
Will that information also work if you're a white toner printer?
I don't know necessarily, okay? Because,
you know, we're on the first question.
Well, you didn't stump me, Rodeo Bo, okay? But I'm saying they're different business models.
There's some stuff in there, I think.
Okay. This is basically for anyone who is doing hardcore sublimation. You need ways to grow your sublimation business. We got 10 good ones. Make sure you check it out. Also want to remind everyone, we are almost at the end of our quarterly contest, our Drinkware Everywhere. That contest is going to expire Friday on the 31st. So make sure you get your entry in. Click on the link for more information. Grand prize winner gets $400 in Condé Systems credit. So make sure you submit. You could be a winner. And last but not least,
speaking of Friday, Doug,
what's going down Friday?
Oh, we got some Leathermania 4 happening.
Leathermania!
Leathermania is one of the most premier sublimation events of the year, and you're not going to want to miss this one. Last year, I believe Sprite pressed 42 products. He has 42 products in 42 minutes.
That's impressive.
Could it happen again this year?
I don't know.
Tune in on Friday, 3:30 Central PM.
And what's it called again?
Leathermania 4.
Leathermania!
We'll see you there.
Leathermania! Woo! All right. Yeah, folks, make sure you tune in because Sprite's going to probably come off the top turnbuckle and smash Bo in the face. It's definitely entertaining.
Yes, it will be great.
Yes,
you'll have fun. You'll have fun. We'll answer questions.
Gather around the TV, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a good time.
It's the event you're not going to want to miss.
It's Leathermania.
4.
Leathermania. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with today's show. And we're talking about the Crio 9541WDT white toner printer. First question, is it the best white toner printing system on the market today? Okay, well, again, let me remind everyone, this is going to be an open discussion. This isn't necessarily a demonstration on the 9541, but make sure that you comment with your questions and we will try to get to as many as we can. But first, I want to cover what I consider to be the pros of the 9541. As far as this printer is concerned, just to show you here, ladies and gentlemen, we got black, cyan, magenta, yellow, and white. 5 process colors. The only print system on the market with all 5 process colors. So what does this basically mean? We could do light color garments with a true black. We could do dark color garments with white as an underbase or a spot color, or we can handle any color in between. We've got 16.7 million color combinations plus white. Now, another thing that I love about this system, it is a 13-inch by 19-inch cut sheet media size. It's the only white toner system currently in production that will do a 13-inch by 19-inch cut sheet. And to demonstrate the difference, I have a couple of shirts. And Bo, I'm going to get you to help me out here.
Which one you want me to take? This back one?
Yeah, take that one. Okay. So we're going to hold these up side by side. Okay, the shirt I have in my hand, this is an 11-inch by 17-inch print area. Okay, so if you had the Oki or Crio 9432, if you had something like an eye color system where you panel 2 8.5 by 11 prints together, basically that's your print size there. This is 13 by 19 here.
No, I got the 13.
You got the 13 by 19. That's right. You're the bigger guy. You have the bigger size. But as you can see, as a side-by-side comparison, you know, how much do those 2 extra inches mean? Well, when you're talking about a 2X, 3X, or 4X garment,
both of these are large, right?
Yeah, both of these are on Hanes Beefy Tee 100% cotton. So the shirts are the same size, but I wanted to show you a good representation of the difference between tabloid 11 by 17 and 13 by 19 like the 9541. Thank you, Bo. Appreciate that. Now, some other things about the printer is based off of the Oki 9600 series print engine. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, this is the same engine that Oki uses for all of their multifunction, network-capable, large capacity printers, okay? In other words, this printer here has a duty cycle of over 300,000 prints, okay? So basically, it is built to last, so to speak. As far as the media capability of this, the printer can handle up to a 360 gram per square inch media weight. Now, to my knowledge, Bo, every color laser transfer paper on the market today measures under 360 grams. So, in other words, the 9541 is capable of printing onto any color laser transfer media. Okay, not to mention that it can do other things, you know, such as like business card stock or other various art papers, like I said, up to a 360 GSM. Now, as far as what powers this printer is powered by a 12 gigahertz internal processor. It also comes with 2 gigabytes internal RAM memory. And what you're going to find is that combination of processing speed and RAM capability, it's going to be basically the fastest processor and the most RAM you're going to find on the market. Another great point about the 9541, and I'm going to use this here to demonstrate. This is the size of the toner cartridge.
Do we want to put it on that camera?
I can put it on this camera,
We'll see how that works.
Okay, let me get this. All right.
We'll put a pencil in there for scale.
Okay, well, good idea,
sorry,
Bo.
that's a pen.
That's a pen. What I'm also going to do here, move them up a little. There we go. This is the toner cartridge for a 9541. This is the toner cartridge for an 8432. The one thing you'll notice is that the toner for the 8432 physically connects to the image drum. Now, one thing that can catch a lot of users is that you put a new toner cartridge into a bad or expired image drum. Because the system is gravity fed, Bo, once you throw this lever, all the toner basically drops down into the image drum. So long story short, with other units, if you have a bad image drum or your image drum expires, you're going to have to change the image drum and the toner simultaneously.
So it's like toothpaste, you can't put it back in the tube?
Well, that's a fairly decent analogy. But when it comes to the 9541, as we could see, we've got separate consumables. The toner cartridge does not interlock with the image drum in any way, shape, or form. So basically what that means is you can let these consumables expire at their own time. You're not forced to make a change just because your image drum goes bad.
Speaking of expiring, does the toner go bad?
Good question, Bo. As far as toner is concerned, since toner is basically a grounded powder, toner technically never expires because it's already dry. So as far as the toner cartridges are concerned, just an advantage of a white toner system overall is that we basically use the cartridges until the cartridges run out of toner. You know, there is no expiration date on a toner cartridge per se.
Kept in the right conditions.
Yes. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on real quick, operating cost. You saw the size of that 9541 toner, okay? Because you were essentially buying your toner in bulk, you are getting a reduced overall cost per print. As far as the 9541 is concerned, its operating cost is about 30% less than the nearest competitor, which is the Oki 8432WDT. So, like I said, you know, lots of advantages of looking at a 9541. What are some of the drawbacks?
Can I, Wendy has a question about which printer I'm sorry, she wants to know what sort of media goes in there. Is it vinyl? I know that you have it on your next.
Well, as far as the type of media is concerned, primarily speaking, we're running t-shirt transfer media through the laser printer. But so you know, as long as your media is color laser rated, and as long as it is under 360 grams per square meter, it will run through a Crio 9541. So a wide range of media available. As a matter of fact, more media than what we carry here at Condé is going to be compatible with this printer. Now, as far as some of the drawbacks of the printer, first off, let's talk about the price tag of this unit. If you are buying this as a base configuration that we offer here at Condé, now, you know, we package some paper and some other products that you need to get up and operating. But as far as a base configuration, Bo, you're looking at $13,995 for the base configuration model.
And the base configuration model and all models come with the stand, right?
That's right. Yeah, all models are going to come with the cabinet stand. All models are going to come with the RIP software, which is the Digital Factory 10 Pro edition from CADLink. All the models will also come with the Crio Remote Support Tablet, which is your method for tech support and continuing education as they constantly have classes regarding the Digital Factory 10 RIP software.
I think the support tablet is like one of the awesomest things ever.
Yeah, because it's right there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You've got support 24/7, 365 through that tablet. It's a good point. But yeah, there are certain consumables that are going to come with every system. Now, here at Condé, we have different configurations based on whether you just want to get started with the unit, whether you want to do light garments and dark garments, whether you want to concentrate on just dark garments, or you want to do everything the printer is capable of doing, which is light garments, dark garments, hard substrates, water slide materials, business cards, letterhead, stationery, you know, everything the printer can do, okay? So systems are going to range between $13,995 to, I believe, our fully loaded model is $16,695. Now, as far as that price point is concerned, that's in the same ballpark as most of your direct-to-garment systems, the ones that produce or print with a white ink and produce images onto dark garments. Now, as far as direct-to-film systems are concerned, there are some less expensive direct-to-film systems than the $13,995 that we mentioned. They just might not be 100% production oriented. Usually for something production oriented, direct to film, you're probably in the neighborhood of about 30,000 plus, but we'll round back to that later in the conversation.
Hey, Doug, Tracy's asking when did it go from Oki to Crio? And it was about a year ago, right? They're the same?
Yes, it was about a year and a half ago. Long story short is during the pandemic, Oki, of course, which is an international company, basically pulled out of the Americas market, which is not only United States, but Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Okay. But what they have done is they have gone through a master distributor company called Crio. So essentially the Crio 9541, it's still an Oki engine. It's still Oki parts. It's still Oki supplies and consumables. It's just a different brand name on it now, Crio. But all the parts are the same. So yes, when you buy a Crio unit, you are getting an Oki system. Hope that answers that question. All right. Now, some of the other drawbacks that we were touching on, as far as the white toner printer is concerned, this is by far and away the biggest model that is available. Okay. It's a good size and it weighs 250 pounds and it definitely takes a couple of strong guys to move it.
But it is on wheels.
Yes. When you put it to the cabinet stand is on wheels. But understand that the printer itself needs a few feet around it so that it can properly ventilate and function properly. There's also certain climate control, settings that we have to stay within. So this is not something that we're going to set up outside in the middle of summer. Okay, it's not capable of that. It's definitely an indoor at your shop system, and you will need some operating space around it. So if you're operating out of a spare bedroom or maybe a small office, at your house or something like that, you're probably going to have to get the measuring tape out to make sure that it's going to fit within your workspace and get the proper ventilation. What you're also going to have to make sure is that you have a dedicated 110, 120 volt outlet because really you cannot share this unit with any other, what I'm going to call power robbing device.
So you can't plug this in with your heat press on the same device?
On the same circuit, no. Yeah, you want to find a different circuit for this 9541 and your heat press. And that's the point I'm making, is that unlike an inkjet system, which requires very little power, this unit requires at least 12 amps to operate. So, it's going to need its own power supply, so to speak. Also, when you compare it to other printers on the market, because it is a independent cartridge and image drum system, it's also what I would say harder to get to as far as cleaning the print heads and doing regular routine maintenance than other white toner printers that are on the market. Now, bear in mind, the maintenance on a white toner system is minimal, but you are going to have to spend more time cleaning out your 9541 from time to time than some of the other units, which cleanup is basically a 5-minute procedure. Okay. But those are basically the few downsides that I can think of as far as the 9541 is concerned. The main thing is the cost of the system. At least the $14,000 investment that you're going to need to get one of these systems running. Now, what else are you going to need to know about this 9541 before you get started? Okay. I cover 3 points that I think everybody needs to know when they are investigating white toner printing as a possible add-on to their business. The first thing you have to understand about white toner printing is you have to do more with regard to your artwork than, let's say, if you're a sublimator. Okay. If you're a sublimator, somebody gives you a JPEG with their business logo in it. Okay, essentially, a sublimation printer cannot reproduce white. When it comes to sublimating, for the most part, we're file print. It's pretty easy. As long as we got the proper color profile selected, we're good to go. But designing artwork for white toner systems is a lot more complicated because a white toner system can read a white background. So if you send a JPEG to this machine and it's got a white background to it, well, guess what? You're going to get a big white giant box when you output. That's not your intention. So what you got to be able to do is design your artwork with a transparent background. I recommend a PNG with a transparent background if you're doing any type of photographic reproduction. If you're doing line art, clip art, vector art, convert it to a PDF with no background. Okay, those are the best file formats, but essentially you're going to have to learn a little bit more on how to properly design your artwork. Okay, go ahead.
Can I ask a question? That
Sure.
ties in. Tiffany wants to know, because you're talking about sublimation,
Mm-hmm.
the durability of the media material that you put through this.
Okay.
Is it as permanent as sublimation?
It's a good question. Here's what I would say. The durability is going to depend on A, the transfer paper product that you use, and B, the material content. What makes sublimation so durable is that it dyes 100% polyester. And 100% polyester does not break down in the washer and dryer. What we've got to understand with a white toner system like the Crio 9541, or even a direct-to-garment or direct-to-film system, is that we are putting that graphic on the surface of the material. We're not embedding the image like sublimation does. So any kind of surface decorated technology, it's eventually going to fade out over the course of time.
And cotton's going to break down faster than polyester. Yes. Think of the lint in your dryer.
Yes. Now, our benchmark test for a t-shirt transfer printer is 25 hot washes, hot dries on 100% cotton, because essentially that is what's going to deteriorate a graphic more than anything. You're going to 100% cotton, which breaks down in the wash, and you're going hot wash, hot dry. All the transfer papers that we have rated for the 9541 definitely meet that threshold. So I would say from a durability standpoint, it's going to be just as durable as anything you would have silk screened, as anything you would have printed with direct-to-garment or direct-to-film.
Or vinyl.
Okay. But, you know, like I said, eventually the image will crack and fade over the course of time. But it's going to break down along the lines of other printing technologies. So I think you're going to be okay.
You did the transparent background, right, Doug?
Yeah, we talked about transparent
file
background.
type?
Yeah, so we're basically covering the three things that you need to know before getting into a 9541. Like I said, you got to understand how to set up your artwork. You got to make sure you work in a transparent background. You got to be able to determine whether you want background white or spot color white. There is a difference. Another thing that you're going to have to learn is you're going to have to learn how to operate a RIP program. Now, the Crio 9541WDT comes with CAD-Link Digital Factory 10 Pro Edition. Okay, and the reason they have the Pro Edition, Bo, is because we have the 5 channels to consider.
We have the Pro Printer.
That's right. We've got the Pro Printer. We need the Pro RIP program. But you are going to have to take time to learn how your RIP program operates, because the different functions within the RIP will have an effect on the graphic as it's being reproduced by the printer. So you're going to have to get up to speed on a third-party RIP program if you're going to operate a Crio 9541. Now, this is also true if you're going to operate a white ink direct-to-garment or a white ink direct-to-film system. You will have to get familiar with the RIP program. So if you can get your hands on any materials, which we, of course, can provide, you definitely want to learn all you can before you get started. And I would say the last thing you've got to understand is you are working with transfer papers that rely on time, temperature, and pressure in order to perform. And a lot of these transfer papers are going to have various time, temperature, and pressure settings. So the reality is you're going to need a quality heat press. Like the one I would recommend is at minimum a George Knight DK20S. You need a minimum 16-inch by 20-inch heat platen.
And the 20S can do the 13 by 19 stuff, right?
It can do the 13 by 19, but I would also recommend, if you plan to go with 13 by 19, you want to get a bigger platen than a 16 by 20 platen. George Knight offers this in what they call the DK25S, which is a 20 by 25 platen. But you got to have plenty of heat press if you're going to do the big cut sheet sizes. Why? Because heat presses have a tendency to lose heat when you get to the edge. And when you're dropping a 19-inch sheet on a 20-inch platen, you've only got 1 inch either. You've only got, you know, basically half an inch either way. So what tends to happen,
if you have a cold spot on your
yeah, what tends to happen is you get a little cold spot drop out on the 16 by 20. So yeah, you know, invest in a 20 by 25 press or better. okay? But you're going to need a quality heat press, and you are going to have to practice with paper, okay? There's simply no way around it. Just understand that I have been doing this for a number of years, and if you give me a brand new paper, believe me, I'm going to ruin the first 30 to 40 transfers trying to figure out what time, temperature, pressure that I need so that I get consistent results. And you're going to have to do that as well. And you're going to have to do it with your own heat press. Why, Bo? Because all heat presses are unique. They may come off the same assembly line, but they're all going to act a little different.
Doug, I'm going to tell them about our conversation this morning. And during my first cup of coffee, I was talking to Doug about shirts. And I asked him the question, are you getting better results on your shirts through the years? And he said yes. And I said, was it practicing and getting your technique down, or was it technology? Better technology. And Doug said over technology, it was practicing.
It was practicing. And to tell you how I did it, ladies and gentlemen, you were operating Digital Factory 10, take one function, change the settings, and see how it manipulates the artwork. Then you move on to the next function. You change the settings, you print it out, you see how it manipulates the artwork. And once you start to understand how all the functions in the RIP work, then the light bulb comes on. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, the shirts that I can make today are far superior to the shirts that I made just 2-3 years ago. And it's all about learning how the RIP and the paper operate.
You got to go in there, make mistakes. Stuff you're going to do is going to look terrible and embarrassing, mm-hmm. but that's part of the growing process and the learning process.
Yes. Okay.
Are we moving on to the next section here?
Well, what I was going to say is, if you want more in detail conversation about the things you need to know regarding white toner printing, we do have a previous TTPPHH episode. It is called The 3 Hurdles to Successful White Toner Printing, where I've got some industry experts from Crio and Nina Paper on that, as well as some art help from Great Dane Graphics, my buddy Dane Clement. So make sure you click on that previous video, look it up in our TTPPHH playlist if you want more information on what I consider to be the hurdles to white toner printing.
So Doug, I wanted to let you know, we have Rabid Moose Garage in here.
Rabid Moose.
Do you know them?
No, but it's a cool name, and I like them already.
They have learned a lot from you and your Digital Factory 10 videos that you have done, mm-hmm. and that they would like for you to do more of them.
Okay.
I'm
going to write that down.
We also have another one that's saying that you that's more step-by-step RIP software videos from you. So you've got 2 people in here, Doug. Your video will at least get 3 views.
Will you watch it?
I was thinking David would watch it, but
well, I know my number 1 fan would watch it, but okay, 3 views, that's good. Yeah, we'll definitely do some more videos on the Digital Factory 10. But just to remind people, if you do have a Crio system, if you register your printer at mycrio.com, they do have a support section and they do have a help section. Now, besides different tips and tricks with the Digital Factory 10, they also conduct live Zoom classes twice a month on different topics regarding Digital Factory 10. So make sure you sign up for that. We will try to post the link after the show so that you can click on it and register. But yeah, definitely register with Crio. Just another great source for information on how to operate the Digital Factory 10.
All right, Doug, if you're in an elevator, okay, so we're doing an elevator pitch here.
Okay.
So quick, what is the difference between the 9541 and the 8432?
The quick elevator pitch is 13 by 19 cut sheet size, 5 color processing. Okay, so light and dark garments, basically any color material in the rainbow that we want, any fabric material with the exception of Lycra and spandex. Okay, but like I said, the reason you're going with 9541 as opposed to something like the 8432, you've got to have 5 process colors because you've got to have accurate color, okay? No knock on Joe Bob, but Joe Bob's bait and tackle shop is probably not going to insist on certain Pantone color combinations for his graphic. You know, as long as he's got his graphic on a shirt, he's fine. But work with any kind of corporate entity, If Coca-Cola says that image has to be Pantone 146R red, then it's got to be 146R red. So having the 5 process colors expands that color gamut, and it's going to allow you a better opportunity to hit those Pantone colors, okay? So if your printouts are critical, if you need the expanded size, because we showed you the difference 2 inches makes across and down when we're talking about a graphic on a garment. So if you're doing a lot of 2X, 3X, yeah, you definitely want to look at the 9541.
Now, the 8432 is a great printer. No knock against that.
8432 is a great printer.
It's probably about half the price of this, right?
The 8432 is about $8,000.
And
the 8432 can print true black, but you got to take the white toner and drum out and install a black toner and drum. So you can run at CMYK, you can run at CMYW. You just can't have both true black and white at the same time. That's what the 9541 delivers.
And it's really whichever printer fits your business model the best, right?
Right, because, you know, we're talking about other business models. Here's what I would consider to be the business model for someone looking at the 9541. You need to be able to produce custom or short production runs of multicolored designs that can be applied now or applied later, okay? Another good business model for a 9541 is you're an individual person or you're a very small shop, let's say less than 5 people, okay? The great thing about a 9541 is one individual operator can run the whole system just fine, okay? It's different than other business models such as direct to garment. If you're looking at direct to garment, then your business model is you've got hundreds of shirts either a day or a week to do, but they are all different designs. In other words, there's a difference between one order for 100 shirts and 100 orders for 1 shirt, okay? Where I think is the wheelhouse of a direct to garment system is that doing individual garments, you're basically cutting out the time of having to do the paper and the pressing, and you're just essentially going right onto the shirt. But there are some drawbacks to direct-to-garment printing, primarily the white ink that direct-to-garment systems use. It's made out of an element called titanium dioxide, and titanium dioxide, if it sits long enough, and we're talking about a day, it is going to congeal or clog. Same principle is going to happen if you're looking at a white ink direct-to-film system. White ink has a tendency to clog. It's just the nature of ink. So if you're looking at direct-to-garment or you're looking at direct-to-film, you definitely want to look at a system that has some type of agitation or ink flow system that keeps the ink moving through the lines and the heads. If you don't have that, odds are you're going to get a head clog, especially in the white. When you get a head clog, you got problems. Another thing you have to consider about direct-to-garment is it requires what's called pre-treatment. This is a chemical treatment that you're putting on the garment so that when you lay your white ink underbase, it doesn't absorb into the cotton shirt bow. So the thing about the pre-treatment is while operating the direct-to-garment and creating the art, you know, that's the art part of it. Applying pre-treatment, that's the science part of it. Okay, so you need a good pre-treatment applicator and you need to have good pre-treatment. It drives me crazy when people will spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a direct-to-garment system, and then they'll take a Wagner power sprayer and pre-treat their garments and think that that's going to be good enough. No, if you don't put down the pre-treatment evenly, properly, you're going to get a bad design.
How are the shirts with the pre-treatment already on it?
Well, as far as that is concerned, yeah, these days you can order shirts. New, right? Yeah, you can order shirts that are pre-treated for direct-to-garment process. Of course, it's going to be more expensive, but hey, better to pay a pro to do it right if you're not going to attempt to do it right on your own. There are also transfers now that are pre-treatment. So you can get pre-treatment in the sheet, and at least that way you're dispensing an even amount of pre-treatment. You're just limited to the size of the sheet.
One thing you talked about with the white toner printer is that you needed to know a RIP software.
That's right.
With direct-to-garment and direct to film.
You need to know a RIP software.
So in all
okay?
three of these situations, there's no way around it.
In other words, if you are going to digitally decorate dark garments and you're going to use white as an underbase, whether it comes from a Crio 9541, whether it comes from an Epson direct to garment, or #1 DTF machine, okay? Because all those systems employ white, you got to have a RIP program that dictates white. Why? Because standard graphic software was all written under the premise that we would always use CMYK. Okay, so we need the RIP program in order to command the printer where to put down white. If we don't have that, what we end up with is a big mass of white that feels super heavy, looks washed out, and will probably break apart after a couple of washes. So a RIP program is going to be essential to every process. It's just something you're going to have to learn.
And as far as a computer that you're going to run these, they're all pretty similar.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're
that
going to
you're
need
bringing
a decent computer to.
What you're going to need is a decent PC. Okay, I would definitely recommend something iCore 5 processor or better, and it needs to be Windows based. A lot of these RIP programs are written for PCs. Now, I know some people like to design off of Mac. Okay, what you'll probably have to do is set up a PC as what we call a fiery RIP and have that feed the images to your system. A lot of these RIP softwares that are written today, they just aren't Mac compatible. Now, if you happen to be running a program on your Mac like Parallels or Boot Camp that allows you to run your Mac as a PC, then you might be able to operate it. But I know that when it comes to the Digital Factory 10 software, if you are looking at the possibility of acquiring a 9541, what I would definitely recommend is go to CADlink's website and find their Digital Factory 10 Oki edition and download the 14-day free trial and play around with those settings and play around with the setup and make sure you're going to get a handle on how the RIP operates before you purchase. Do we have any other questions from the audience, Bo?
I think right now we're all caught up, but bring them on.
Okay. Well, like I said, if there are questions that we haven't covered, make sure you leave them in the comments. We will get to them. You can also email your questions to us, TTPPHH@Condé.com. That's the direct inbox to the show. Like I said, we always respond to questions because we just love answering.
Because we have nothing better to do.
Yes. Now, let's try to wrap up everything that we've covered so far.
Can I ask one question? Just one.
Okay, Bo.
So the material that we put in here from Condé are forever. You can't put Nina in there, can you?
Yes, you could put Nina products through there. You could also put our own brand laser imprint products through this program.
Is it all CPSA compliant and stuff with direct to garment and direct to film is what I actually meant to say.
Okay. Is it CPSA compliant? Now, for those of you who may not know, that stands for the Consumer Product Safety Information Act. And basically what that means is anything that is made for infants, toddlers, or children under 12, it has to be lead and phthalate free. Now, when it comes to the toner cartridges and all the consumables that the Crio 9541 works with, yes, we have the material safety data sheet information on all that. When it comes to the transfer papers that we carry for the printer, all the transfer papers that we offer should be either CPSA or what they call Okiotech compliant, which is the international standard. But essentially, these products are safe enough for you to operate with in a home-based business, okay? Now, I would say that for the most part, a direct-to-garment system, the inks in a direct-to-garment system, just about all direct-to-garment inks are CPSA compliant. Like our Rico RI100, absolutely.
Not ours, but we sell it.
Now, as far as the pre-treatment is concerned, I can't speak for the pre-treatment because we don't offer dark garment, direct-to-garment systems. When it comes to direct-to-film, I can't speak for the ink, and I definitely cannot speak for the emulsifying powder that has to be applied. Now, me personally, I would recommend if you're looking at the direct-to-film, and I consider direct-to-film model to be you've got to produce hundreds of thousands of multicolored designs in a run. Okay, what you're looking at is what I would call a closed system, where you're printing onto the roll media that immediately goes into a closed powder loop system where it's properly ventilated so you're not breathing in that powder. And then after it comes out of the powder coater, it goes immediately into a heat source to heat set. And then when the roll comes out, you got that finished product. If that's the type of setup that you're getting, those setups tend to run about $30,000 and up. But those will work, especially if you have to mass produce transfers that are multicolor in design. So remember, a 9541 is for your small or custom production runs. What you're essentially trading is the cost of print for the savings of time. When it comes to a direct-to-garment system, you're doing a bunch of individual orders. When it comes to direct-to-film, you're doing multiple runs of multicolored designs. Think of it that way. But if you have any questions on that regard, make sure you get in touch with one of our account managers here, because they've got the expertise to help walk you through these questions. You can reach them toll free, 1-800-826-6332.
Or give them an email at salesteam@condé.com.
That's right. You can also reach out for questions, saleshelp@condé.com. So basically, get in touch with us should you have any further questions, and we'd be more than happy to assist.
We have a question.
We got one more question.
We got a question from Candy on here, and it's a good one, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun answering it.
Well, hit me with it, Candy.
What paper would you recommend for a white toner printer to go on dark, Doug? I have no idea what your answer is going to be.
Well, there are a number of papers out there. The most popular, the one that I tend to use more often than not, is the Forever Laser Dark Low Temp. Okay. I like that paper because it's great at weeding individual dots whenever you rasterize your design. It's also extremely durable.
Is that your shirt?
Yes. Now, another note is there has been a product update on the Forever Low Temp Laser Dark. They have a new B sheet that they call the B Sheet Pro. Condé should have it real soon. We've done a couple of shows on the new B Sheet Pro. So if you want to look at those results, tune in to previous episodes of the TTPPHH show. They're there. But as far as other papers are concerned, there is the Laser Imprints Trim-Free IC Dark, which tends to work very well. It's got a little bit of a lighter feel. There is a paper made by Jodo that they call Parapy Trim Free, which is good. I've also heard great things about the Magic Touch product. So there's a lot of different products.
Does Condé offer a product?
Well, we offer two, actually. We offer the Forever and we offer the Laser Imprints. But I'm saying there are other good quality dark garment transfer papers out there.
I didn't hear you
and
say
a lot of times, you know, it just comes down to personal preference of, do you have success with it consistently or not? But just about all of those papers from a durability standpoint should wash about the same.
We have Evelyn on here.
And what does Evelyn want to know?
She is a super fan, by the way.
All right.
And, super awesome. And she wants to know if Forever papers are compatible or work in a Uninet printer.
In a Uninet printer. Well, that is going to depend on the Uninet model. There are some Uninet models that are based off of Oki brand engines. Those should work just fine. But some of the Uninet models that are based off of a Ricoh engine, the film that's required to print to with the white toner systems, the Forever film may be a little too thick for certain model Uninets, the Ricoh-based Uninets. At that point, I would recommend our Laser Imprints Trim-Free IC. The film's a little thinner and it does a little better job running through the Uninets. So we do have a 10-sheet sample pack of the Forever Laser Dark Low Temp if you want to buy a 10-sheet sample pack and try some sheets through your Uninet. But understand, if it doesn't work, we've got another product, Laser Imprints Trim-Free IC Dark, which we know for a fact is compatible with Uninet, so we got you covered. All right. Well, like I said, that kind of brings us to the end of this show.
What are we doing next week, Doug?
Well, we're not doing anything next week because the show runs every other week, Rodeo Bo, but we will be back in 2 weeks. And I believe we are going to have a special guest as we attempt to show you how to properly sublimate a t-shirt. So if you don't know how to properly sublimate a t-shirt, make sure you tune in 2 weeks for the next episode of the T-shirt Transfer Paper Power Half Hour. But until then, for my good friend
I was going to,
Rodeo
do you want to
Bo,
answer one more question?
story of my life. What's one more question?
Does Forever Light and Forever Dark have the same washability?
That is a good question. I would say on 100% cotton, yes. Now, where the washability may vary is if you tend to use a cotton poly blend or 100% polyester. Now, 100% polyester might be difficult with the Forever Laser Light. The Forever Laser Dark can handle 100% polyester, no problem. But if you want a recommendation on the way to use both papers and get the best durability you can, you want to decorate cotton poly blend garments, okay? Now, it could be predominantly cotton, but as long as you have somewhere between 25% to 40% polyester within that blend, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the breathability of cotton, but you're getting the polyester to help hold the shape of the shirt, which is what helps keep the image intact. So just a little pointer there. If you want to increase durability, shop around and find a good quality blend garment. Okay,
All right.
like I said, any other questions, we will catch you after the show. Make sure to tune in 2 weeks for
See you guys Friday.
Yes, and make sure you tune in to Leathermania. That is when, Bo, this Friday?
This Friday, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time or daylight. I don't know what we're on.
3:30 p.m. Central Time on all Condé networks. It's Leathermania 4. It's going to be a bloodbath, but it's going to be awesome. Make sure you tune in and tune in 2 weeks for the next episode of the T-shirt Transfer Paper Power Half Hour.
I'm Rodeo Bo.
I'm Doug DeWitt. Our time is up, and we thank you for yours.
Just point, Doug. I forgot to push the